Now is the time, past. We are joining live here with Ralph. I just wanted, while people are joining this talk, I wanted quickly to set up the scene. So everyone who is joining is not able to talk or show any video, but everyone can comment in the comment section. You can write your questions. In the end of this talk, we will, of course, answer a few of them. If we have time, if we have more time, we can answer more questions. And also, you can use emojis, like the reactions down below. You can click a few thumbs up or thumbs down. You can try it out on your own. So to make us understand that, yeah, now it's coming in. Cool. So yes. While people are also joining, I can very quickly introduce myself and also Ralph. So my name is Evan. I'm co-founder of Shapemaker, and Shapemaker is a software for structural analysis of telecom infrastructure. And we basically trying to have a very interesting and thought-provoking discussions with industry experts such as Ralph from Icon Tower. So Ralph is actually started using Shapemaker. Ralph and Icon Tower is a client of Shapemaker, right, Ralph? And I believe that we started using Shapemaker in March, roughly this year.
Yes.
So I appreciate everyone, and I just want to give a word to Ralph to introduce yourself and just say a few words about yourself and Icon.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I think there's quite a few people on the call who actually know me. So I'm a structural engineer. I'm working for Icon Tower. Joined Icon a couple of years ago off the back of Cornerstone, and I've been working in mobile telecom since the late 90s. And I've worked with a fair few of the people on the call, either for them or with them in the same company or adjacent companies. And it's been an interesting 20 odd years. For Shapemaker, kind of been using it from March, but I'm not a power user of Shapemaker. I kind of need to be. I need to get into it further, but a lot of the in-depth stuff I can't really answer because I haven't used it that in-depth. But my background in tower analysis is MS Tower, as is most people's who've been doing this for that length of time.
Yes, and Ralph, you just said that, of course, you are not a power user and you started quite recently using Shapemaker, but of course your expertise is vast. And for me, it was very that's the reason why I really wanted to talk to you, because to understand how even on this early stage of using Shapemaker, or only stage of adoption of this such a new technology, new tech in telecom, how did that already, if it did deliver any value for you and for Icon? Can you comment on this a little bit?
Yeah. So a little bit of background to that. Coming into Icon, Icon has a very small installed base of towers. So I'm in quite a fortunate position where I don't have like thousands of towers that have already been analyzed in a particular piece of software, and it's I'm in a position that's very different to a lot of towercos in the UK. So I can afford to look around a little bit and find a piece of software that fits really. Given MS Tower's demise, there's been quite a gap, years with nothing dominating. That's allowed things like Shapemaker to come through. There's other bits of software that have come through as well, and I've tried a few of them. And then coming into Shapemaker, the bit that sort of really pushed me over. I mean, I can try these things, right? I'm in a very good position where I can try these things. So the bit that sort of encouraged me to try it was the promise of the software. It looks good. It's it's easy to build towers within Shapemaker. It was easy to begin with because I just handed you the drawings and you built them for me. It doesn't get simpler than that. But now with the Tower Builder release, I've built a few towers within it, and it's easy to get through. It's easy to get to a point where you can see the tower, you can see the load on it, and it's easier than the others that I've tried. So ease of use was one thing, and the ability to get my structures in there fairly quickly is what I could see with it. And then outside of that initial sort of usage of Shapemaker, it's the promise of Shapemaker. It's what it can become. And I think it holds a great deal of promise, not just in the software, but I mean, for me, Shapemaker is not just the software, it's you and the team there. So I have a weekly call with Martha Elise and others she brings on the call. And with some of them, I think like Vladimir, there's almost weekly coaching on what to do, how to do it quicker. He'll watch me try and build a tower and then tell me where I could streamline it. Or he'll take away things that I may be struggling with to deal with in the back end and make it easier for my next time. So it's a very interactive process, which helps. And where I am now with it is that I kind of, and you may tell me I'm entirely wrong on this, but I feel like I have a stake in it. I feel like whatever Shapemaker becomes has been part because of the interaction between us. So there's part of my requirements being built into it. And an early sign of that was the equivalent static check that's in the Eurocode, was in BS 8100 before it, which you didn't have when we started talking. But through those discussions, you brought it in, you'd implemented the ability to provide the number as the ratio, and some natural frequency and the coefficients drag as comparators in there. And it's not necessarily that the software will do anything, but it gives you that information, so you can make a decision based on that information. And you'd done that before I'd even bought a license, so you were, the proactivity was already there even before we'd bought into the system. And I like all of that, and it spoke well of how things were to progress, and they are progressing along those lines. So it's the whole package, not just the software.
Nice. No, Ralph, you mentioned so many things, and it was really wonderful to hear what you said. I wanted to comment on it because that's what our team, we have a lot, myself included, like an industry expert. I worked in telecom for a long time, and of course other people. We are all passionate about what we do, and we really want to make a difference in the industry, and also combining the modern tech with the industry. Basically, we don't want to follow status quo, and we, as you mentioned, we really follow our users along the way, because we also, not only you benefit from us, like you mentioned, from let's say training or implementing some new calculation methodology, or not so new, but like this equivalent static check. Not only that, but also for us to get the direct feedback from the users, and actually to, as you just mentioned, that you have a stake, meaning that you can tailor the software for yourself, because
very
we
much
listen to your feedback, and we are very like, we are really valuing this type of feedback. That's so it was a lot of mentioned, and I just wanted, along the way, maybe while you talk or I talk, I will be showing the software, and there is one very interesting side that I will be kind of along the way showing, maybe not interrupting, but just like showing what you are mentioning, if there will be something relevant like that.
Yeah. Okay. So if I carry on then about
Mm-hmm.
where I want to get to, and we're not there yet, even with a reduced number of structures. But where I want to get to with Shapemaker
Mm-hmm.
is have all of our structures in there. They're all
Mm-hmm.
catalogued on there's a main dashboard, and they're all in there, and they've all been analysed at least once, so they all have a rating overloaded, the percentages up there on the dashboard, so I can see where the whole portfolio is. And I think this is something that Andy Dick mentioned in his session with you. It's the ability to respond to the customer that I'm really looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have everything catalogued, everything ready for analysis, should a customer call us up, drop us an email, I can make a change, I can add new equipment really quickly, I can give them an answer really quickly. The quicker I can give them an answer, the quicker they can come on the tower. That helps them with their coverage, it helps us with our revenue. It also means I'm not waiting. I don't have to wait to send it out to someone or get quotes so I can raise a PO. I send it out. I could probably have analysed this in the time we're waiting for the quoting and the PO to be raised. I think there will be cases where I have structures that are just, they're in a grey area where I don't quite know what they're doing, or I'm not comfortable enough that I will go back to the OEM and say, look, can you just check this over for me, just so that I know I'm safe. Confidence in the platform will build over all of those checks. I haven't got another piece of software to backstop this against yet, so I can only check it against old BS 8100 analyses that have been done on our structures in the past. But hopefully I'll get to that point. Everything's catalogs, and I've got Icon into a really good place, a really good customer-facing place where we can respond really quickly.
Yes,
so that's the dashboard. No, that's actually a particular site, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
You skip through.
And the dashboard is this one. Yes, that's basically one of the differentiators for Shapemaker, because we really want to create a software that on a portfolio level that can help operate the portfolio of the infrastructure. So not like individual files, individual sites somewhere on your computer, but as a whole, as a holistic overview. And so we are not only speeding up the structural engineering calculations and doing what we are actually doing really well, but we're also moving into this operational part of the industry, and to help towercos to have this very clear overview of the infrastructure and make better decisions, basically. And you also mentioned, Ralph, that like how you are your goal is to answer the client quick. Of course, this is absolutely. But in the past we were discussing this this concept of, and I think you coined the name agents. I believe it was you who said agents. Can you just quickly explain what you meant by that? It was in our past conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this is where this is the promise of Shapemaker being a web-based tool. So I've got an incredibly small team at Icon, a team of just one. So should we get a lot of people or a lot of demand for analyzing towers, that's just going to come down to me, essentially. And if I sort of look to the future, and I sort of have to be optimistic and say that we're going to have a portfolio of many more towers than we have now, it would be useful to have the ability for other people, consultants outside of Icon. They could be the tower manufacturers themselves, they could be independent consultants who are able to dial into a version of our sort of hub and carry out work on our structures. So all of the environmental parameters are all centralized and they're all known and generally agreed. You'd still want, if it was going to an independent consultant, They have a review of those parameters to see if they still agree. They add the equipment, they run the check, and that then comes back to yourself in Icon for a final review and a response to the customer. So that's where the agent piece comes in. It's this sort of democratization of a GDC. It can go out to a wider pool of people who are all acting on the same model with the same environmental conditions, the loadings in exactly the same place. They're just adding new bits to it. So your master sort of becomes a child when they're working on it, gets back into you as a child, and when that particular configuration that you've just modeled gets built, it becomes the master again. You change all the statuses from planned to existing, and you've got your tower that's with the latest analysis, and it's fine. But other people are doing that, agents around, in case you're too busy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the agent concept came from, that you could have a pool of consultants all available to work, and you send out work depending on their availability and their ability to respond quickly.
Exactly. So this actually, this point is very critical, because what I see is a lot of tower cos are struggling, since tower engineering is such a niche, and the expertise in this niche is very limited, and tower cos are really even big. Like let's name one. Vantage is, I know them really well. They don't have, even them, they don't have a huge number of telecom engineers. So I see the connect between this tech, because this tech allows anyone to join, to log in and to access, actually, let's say, your portfolio of your structures. Of course, when you allow this, when you give the permit of this to access for someone, and then basically people even all around the world can do the job for you, but you are in control, and you also accumulate the data from them. So it's not like on their computer and they just send you the final report. So everything that people or these agents will do for you, it will all stay with you in your portfolio of structures. And I so far haven't seen anything like this in the industry. And we even at Shapemaker go another step. Of course, we say that this is your portfolio. We are not even know what's happening, and not allowed to see your portfolio of structures. And we give you full control how many agents you want to have. So we are not limiting you in that. You can have a team of 10 or 20 or 30. It's up to you. So because we want to encourage, we want to basically improve the industry. We see the bottlenecks, and we just want to give the power to our users. So it's quite, but thanks, Ralph, for you wanted to say something.
So with that kind of idea, it goes back to a digital twin of your portfolio. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen, there may be something out there, but I haven't seen it. But I haven't seen a platform that gives you a dashboard of all of your structures, and 3D models of all of your structures, and you just have to click through. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's going from MS Tower experience, all of the information's contained within folders on a hard drive somewhere. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot harder to use. But the digital twin side of this, and this is where some of the larger companies struggle to get the information. And once you've gone to one supplier and you've got them to climb the tower, do a full climb down, and collate how the tower's been built, that information then typically resides with them. Exactly. If you want to move supplier, you've got to pay someone else to do exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. In this particular case, and there's no reason it can't be the same case anywhere else, but you get the information, you build the model, it's your model, you don't have to go and climb it and find out again. So you are building that digital twin. It's not photorealistic. A lot of the industry seems to be chasing
Mhm.
a photorealistic digital twin, but, and it's just my opinion, I can't do anything with a photo of a tower. I
Mhm.
can't analyze it. I can't manipulate the antenna. I can't add new antenna. I mean, there are some platforms that will allow you to, but you then can't analyze it. And some of those photorealistic platforms may be moving towards that. But the photorealism is beautiful to look at, and drones certainly have their place. So I'm not knocking drone usage for all of that capture, but a photo of some rust on a tower will always be some photo on a rust on a tower until you fix it. But the photo won't change unless you go out and do another drone survey. So one of the things about drone surveys is you're reducing truck rolls. But if you're having to take photos after every piece of work, you're not really reducing truck rolls. It's also giving you a model you can't structurally analyze. And I've seen in literature from some people millimeter accuracy on the dimensioning. I've seen on others centimeter accuracy, neither of which is good enough for a structural model. That millimeter that you're out could be the difference between a 5 mil or a 6 mil thick member, and could be the difference between a pass or a failure. That's not really good enough.
Mhm.
But if you climb it once, you get all the information, you build your model here with it, then you've got all the information. You don't have to do all that again. And then it's just monitoring very carefully who's going on your tower. And you do that through an application process. So I think this gives us the digital twin. It doesn't have to be photorealistic, and maybe that will catch up with, I mean, my view of the photorealism and the structural thing is that the sort of modeling we've got here is the skeleton, and the photo piece is a nice skin that you drape over the top of it. And whatever you do with the skin can change, but you are in control of the skeleton.
Absolutely, I completely agree, Ralph. And of course, we are probably getting in another topic here, because I completely agree. First of all, that the digital twin, let's say drone data, isn't good enough for structural analysis. Maybe it's good enough for, I don't know, active equipment, location of active equipment. So the precision is okay, but what can you do to test, let's say, thickness of a CHS member with a drone? It's quite unlikely. Maybe there is some kind of new technology that I'm not aware of, but it's probably very expensive at this point. Or test steel grade. Again, it's probably not realistic with a drone. Or go into some kind of deep details. And absolutely about the precision, yes, the millimeter or several millimeters can make a difference in thickness of a member and affect dramatically the outcome. So that's why we also took this approach of we are not having photorealistic digital twin, but we have all the details inside of this digital twin, so we can conduct extremely accurate structural analysis. And this is our kind of bottom line. We want to conduct structural analysis to the most accurate level possible, and that's what we're trying to do. But what you said, it's actually very interesting about drones and maybe some other companies that provide other services, and you talked with a few of them. Maybe shout out to Ixos guys. Hopefully someone is on the call from there today. But what I wanted to say about partnerships, and can you comment something about partnerships and how you see it, and integration between platforms such as Shapemaker and Ixos? There's Yusuf is giving thumbs up to you, Ralph.
Thanks, Yusuf. Okay. Yeah, so I've also been playing with this IGNOP compliance tool that's Ixos, and it's easy enough that someone like me with very little experience can use it, or also with a lot of help from Yusuf there. And there's a fair amount of the Ixos tool that's web-based, and it works off of a 3D model. In the case that I've been using, buildings, but IGNOP certification is still needed for towers. So my initial sort of query into the Ixos guys, and I think I discussed it with them while I was on a call with them, and then I discussed it with you. Well, I discussed it with Martha Elise, I think, and she took it to you, and when I emailed you, you had already sorted out a meeting with Yusuf. But the idea was, if you can take the 3D modeling out of Shapemaker and suck it into the Ixus tool, complete your ICNIRP compliance zones, public and occupational, and then somehow suck that back into Shapemaker for presenting, so you have the compliance reporting available on the site within Shapemaker. It's just that all the processing of it happens in a tool that's been made to process all of that data in that particular way. So instead of adding and tweaking Shapemaker to do things it was never designed to do, you pick a brother piece of software that you can talk to do that processing for you. I think one that came up with Lloyd from Hutchinson last week was the finite element piece. So is Shapemaker able to talk to other programs that have been specially designed for a function? Is it able to talk to them, have that function carried out, and then deliver the results back into Shapemaker? I think we've talked briefly about the possibility for foundations, piled foundations, that sort of thing. Could be a sister piece of software, could be a separate module that happens outside of Shapemaker before the results get brought back into Shapemaker. I don't know, all of those are questions sort of left with you, but with the ICNIRP one, you jumped on that really quickly. It was like minutes, I think, after mentioning it to Master Release. So
yes, absolutely. This is actually another key point of having building a structural engineering tool on top of the modern technology. That we have API, we are basically API ready software, and through this API we can talk to any other software that also API enabled, like Ixus, or portfolio management platform like SiteTracker or Trebo, that we can pull the data related to, let's say, active equipment, antenna equipment, directly into Shapemaker in our ancillary list of the structure. So we can pull and push all this data back and forth. So like you mentioned about Hutchinson and finite element analysis, or any output or any input that we basically processing can be transferred. We basically can push to another source and pull from another source some data that we need for our analysis. So we are not trying to be a tool for everything. We just really want to nail our niche. We want to be the best at structural engineering of telecom infrastructure and operational parts of the telecom infrastructure, related to what you mentioned about the Insight tab and basically overview, like a holistic overview. And that's and to be more valuable for our clients, we are looking forward to such collaborations, such integrations with other providers of the different type of functionality in telecom. That's in my opinion, that's the way to improve and the way to deliver the value to the clients like yourself and to our companies.
Yes, and I mean, part of the Shapemaker experience is the team that sits behind it. And for me, it's the whole package. It's not just where Shapemaker is as an analysis tool now that's the interesting bit. It's the promise of where Shapemaker can go. I mean, Shapemaker does what I need it to now, but what else can we do with it? That's the exciting part about it. It feels like there's a journey ahead for the software. And that's exciting.
I wanted to ask you like a very specific question about features. Of course, you said that you're not a power user. Maybe you're not familiar with all the features that we have yet. But have you used this batch analysis that we have in Shapemaker? Have you know about it?
Honestly, I don't have enough power to make the batch process worthwhile at the moment. So I haven't used it. No. I have some thoughts around the batch analysis piece, which we'll certainly discuss. But no, I haven't used it. It could well be a very useful tool with some parameters around it.
Okay. Yes, it's a relatively new functionality, and we are basically improving it. And I just wanted to kind of mention it. And
please do. I haven't seen it really, so please go through it.
But we can. I just briefly wanted to say that, for example, a use case for this functionality could be, let's say you are rolling out 5G equipment, and it's maybe you are replacing existing equipment with some kind of specific set of equipment, like a specific set of panels and RRUs, and you basically can do it on a scale of several hundreds of towers in the same time, and then you basically can run analysis once for all the structures that you updated equipment, let's say. So it's very useful, so you don't need to go one by one and analyze the structure one by one and update equipment. So you can overwrite equipment in our database. For example, you can go to the discrete ancillary, bring some new antennas, or update the existing old antennas with new parameters, and then run batch analysis to all the structures that had this type of equipment change. I just wanted to mention that. Yes.
Just to ask on that quickly, we'll go into this deeper at another time, but are you able to, does the batch only run on all of the portfolio? Are you able to select a subset of the portfolio to run it on?
You can select a specific subset in many different ways. So not the default portfolio size, but you can definitely set up. But our team can definitely show it to you in details.
Yeah, please, because if you can do a subset by area. So let's say a telecom MNO wants to do things like cell by cell kind of thing, or however it's called. Can you pick a geographic area and just update some antenna? They're going to wholesale swap out of a particular CommScope panel for the latest CommScope panel. You change the parameters, you can sort of geographically select some sites for it to run on, just to give a very quick understanding back to an operator of the impact of that change in an area.
Yes, by now, like selecting a geography visually, it's not possible, but what is possible is basically tagging the structure. Like when you're creating the structure, you can tag with a specific location, and then based on the specific tag, you can basically define your project, define your geography, maybe some kind of states or some kind of counties, I don't know. And then you can quickly select, okay, for this tag, run this batch analysis, and then it will go through.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. And so a little bit of, I saw a very interesting question coming in. Of course, we were trying to keep the questions to the end, but I thought it was really good question. So, and I wanted to ask you, Ralph, and I can also contribute to it. Okay. It's about basically data security. This question always comes in. Okay, you're using this new tech, is in the cloud. The data is somewhere, no one knows where, right? And of course, tower company is always concerned. Okay, where is actually the data? And I think it's Morten asked this question. So I can read a little bit. So tower cost is critical infrastructure, and it's not allowed for the data to be in the cloud. And what is the Shapemaker approach? But before I answer what Shapemaker approach, what do you think about this the data question and the security and this type of thing for ICON specifically and for you?
So for me, I hadn't particularly, it hadn't been a priority for me about where the data's held. At the moment, I don't have a huge amount of data in the system. Certainly not much that's it would be subject to any kind of scrutiny or anything. So it hasn't been on my radar, that part of it. I don't necessarily have massive concerns about the structures I do have in the cloud. So I'm sort of poorly placed to answer the question. It hasn't been a concern of mine to date.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is very good. From Shapemaker point of view, we actually had this type of concern quite a lot, and there are a few ways to set up the data in Shapemaker, so it's not only one way. So for tower companies that really put a lot of effort in protecting their data, Shapemaker can be run on premises, so we can set up all the data to be processed on premises of the company, so it doesn't go into the cloud. In this case, of course, we can't see it. We never see we can't access it. It's completely separate from the cloud, but it still can communicate with API. So we can basically get the information in, right? Or allow some information out to communicate with like partners, like we mentioned previously. And of course, if the security is at the highest, this is the setup that we go with, and we had a client with such a setup. But apart from that, cloud is actually, our cloud infrastructure is based on Google, and it's like one of the highest security in the world. So, and we base our data in the country where we work. For example, for Icon, it will be in your country, in the UK, and for other clients in their home country. So basically, it's quite protected in this sense. So very good question. And Ralph, I have another question. It's a little bit like a top level about the future, because we are always looking into the future and what needs to be done, what needs to be improved, but maybe a little bit high level question. But how do you see tower operation or tower engineering or operations evolving in the next, let's say, years? Like, what do you see people need to pay attention, or any point about the future that you would like to highlight?
So I don't. It's not so much about the future. Well, it is the future because it's yet to happen, but it's also something that many of us on the call have been talking about for the last decade or so, and that's that towercos, operators need to get a handle on their information. They need to know what the towers are that they've got out there. They need to understand them better. They need to get better control of them, so that systems like this can work, but even outside of Shapemaker, so that analysis is easier than having to send someone out to climb a tower every time you want something analyzed. I think there are various issues probably coming in the tower world with fatigue and things like that, but that we probably need to get a handle on. I think the Eurocode is yet to make a bit of a dent just because of the adoption of new software. So, I don't know, I think more of the same, but with better control and the higher usage. Everyone's going to be pushing, and everyone has been pushing hours to basically sweating the asset. That's outside of all of the stuff you see on LinkedIn about satellites taking over. I think there's going to just be more towers to infill. Search for capacity rather than coverage will lead to more sites being built, in my opinion.
And we have a few interesting collaborations, and maybe another shout out to Acernis, guys from a company called Acernis that we are collaborating with. Here are some hearts coming in from them. It's basically what you mentioned before, Ralph. Basically digital twins and also mostly the value that I see from a service is providing most up-to-date data. So, for example, when there is some kind of change of equipment, or equipment is slightly located in some different position rather than what we see on the tower, in this case, for example, in our heavy loaded structure. So basically what I'm trying to ask you is, how important for you is the most up-to-date information on the structure that you or that you receive, let's say, from tower maintenance or inspector, or like, how do you see this basically accuracy and the most up-to-date data, specifically probably related to active assets such as ancillaries antennas?
Okay, so in terms of the ancillaries on the tower, millimeter precision on where that is, I don't think it matters overly, but you do need to know where it is spatially, so that you know which space you've got available for others to come on. So if your model is incorrect because it's based on yesterday's data, but today the antenna are in a different place, you're going to be going forward on incorrect assumptions on where your space is. So that's sort of critical. Generally. So, I mean, not to the millimeter level, but you need to know where it's based. In terms of the tower itself and the condition of the tower, also critical, because if there's anything failing, if you've got rust, any defects on the tower at all, you need to be able to make sure that your towers remain accessible for operators to go and climb and carry out maintenance on their equipment. So yeah, up to date information. It doesn't have to be daily, but probably needs to be an information feed from everybody who visits site. For instance, if they go, everyone who goes to site is eyes on the site, who can report back if something's changed, if they've noticed something that they need to raise as a point, like the ladder's not fixed at the base, or there's a bracing member that's buckled. You can compare it to old data to take it forward, and decide what you're going to do with it. And so yeah, or as much information as you can get on site as you go through site visits, I think is very important.
Yes. Okay. Then I completely agree. I just wanted to show quickly how, again, stress in another time the value of modern technology, because since we are operating in the cloud and we can, the software can be accessed online on any on the desktop, laptop, or iPad. The people who go to site and update what you said, Ralph, that climb the structure and see some change, see some differences from the existing model, it's quite easy, and we have this functionality that we can jump for any antenna that exists on the structure, and basically update the location of such antenna by just dropping it into another place. And also, as we discussed about this kind of communication between different tools or software, we can also pull this data about antennas from another software and basically update it as soon as it's updated in any software that, let's say, site inspectors or some kind of contractors of, let's say, Icon Tower use. We can pull it, or they can use directly the Shapemaker software. So I completely agree. It's very important, and I see that TowerCo is quite struggling with this type of up-to-date data, and sometimes they don't even know what's happening on the structure. So it's very difficult for them.
The operators have a habit of sneaking things on out of place. The best place maybe for the operator, but not a place that's necessarily been agreed beforehand. I think I'd probably not want everybody who goes to site, let them have the ability to change things, because you will end up with ever-changing antenna locations based on various people's opinions. So it might be that a check process needs to be put in place. So even if they change it on the model, that is parked somewhere for someone to check before it's cleared through to the main model. Or you have a different way of reporting so that someone sitting remotely can see what changes are needed, take a view on them, and then change it.
Yes, I see the point, and absolutely, we actually, of course, the tower codes, and in this case, you, Ralph, Icon is basically needs to approve every change, so we are not going to allow anyone do like this type of changes without approval. Just like we discussed about this, agents and engineers, they can conduct calculations, but in the end of the day, you kind of approve it as the latest approved status. And we have this in the results tab. We have history. Let's say several. As you can see, this structure has been analyzed several times throughout, like in the beginning of 2025, and then until today. And the status is changing, and it's basically approved status, and the latest status is shown here. And of course, you are in control. And also, I wanted to say that we are developing. Actually, we are trying to be even better about different agents coming in, and like either it's engineering, either it's a structural engineers or maintenance team. Now we are looking at MNOs, and we are trying to set up even better setup for tower companies. So in the future, a mobile network operator can log into your portfolio, pick from the list of your structures, pick the site, maybe even from a map. We can pick already the right any site. Let's pick this one, go to the structure, and they can do some changes related to ancillaries. Let's say they do like collocation requests. They add some new ancillaries here. Let's add one, and then they can run the analysis. Let's even run the analysis, and then they see the overall result, but of course it's not approved. They just need to check, okay, if it's okay for them, if it doesn't, does it create a lot of, does it overstress the structure? And then when they're happy, they can do it as many times as they want. They can send it for approval, to you. And then you can approve this colo application, and it means like less time, of course, spent. It actually removes a lot of work and headache from you, and it's also MNOs also benefit because they can free to actually do some kind of adjustments and make sure that everything is correct. They don't have to be structural engineers to run this very difficult full structural analysis. So I think everyone wins in this setup. What do you think about it, Ralph?
I think that's useful, and it goes to that democratization piece again. But you're going to have to be a little bit careful with the privacy settings on there, so that when operator A is looking at it, they're not seeing all of operator B's kit on the tower.
Correct.
That's all got to be shaded out and anonymized. So, and there might be a few little tricks and catches within that.
Yeah, we actually already have this type of, we thought about it. So, for example, this is tenant list, and you can just only see this tenant, and then the rest will be blackout.
Yeah.
Even in the report, it will be the same. I can show you a bit later, but yeah.
But that's got to be dealt with on their login.
Yeah.
Rather than their selection.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Yes. Ralph, we have only 10 minutes left, but I wanted to ask a little bit also a UK specific question. Is there anything like in the industry that is very specific to the UK market? Anything related to not maybe specifically structural engineering, but for telecom industry as a whole?
that would need me to have very detailed knowledge of the rest of Europe or the world, which I don't, I'm afraid. No, I couldn't. I don't think I could answer that. I lack the other points of reference to answer that question, I'm afraid. I'd like to think we're very special. I mean, there's the code piece, but that's more of a property acquisition that's very specific to the UK, that makes acquisition of the sites, depending which side of the fence you sit on, should make it very easier and cheaper for operators, or makes it very difficult because of all the litigation and removes a load of money from the landlords. So, that's very specific, but it doesn't intrude on this element of work.
So it's like a price limitation, or what does it mean?
It's sort of aimed to codify how you, and if there's any property people on the call, apologies because I might mash this up horribly, but from my viewpoint, it's codified the means by which you acquire a site. So a value of a site is a specific thing rather than whatever you want to pay to get the site.
Yes, and are you planning to attend Connect Britain in September?
Yes.
The conference? Yes, you will be there?
Yes.
Okay, that's a positive surprise because our team is also planning to attend.
Okay, just as a guest. Icon had a stand there last year, but there'll be no stand this year. We're just going as a guest.
Okay, it's the same from our side. So so then we will definitely see each other in person in is it 24th, 25th of September, quite soon.
Yes.
Yeah, and I hope to see anyone that is on the call right now in London. But if there are any questions from the audience, I think we have just a little bit of time left to answer. The questions that I already saw was quite good, and it was actually quite a lot of communication between, like, exchanging the web links for these partners that we actually mentioned with Ralph along the way we talked. So the questions are coming in. So are you the old UK wind load still used in the tower industry? So that's the question from someone.
So CP3 Chapter 5 for tower analysis, not really. BS8100, the code is still used for some of the older software tools that are around, but pretty much it's the national annex to the Eurocode. The wind loads are taken from there, and then the averaging period, they're amended for the averaging period for BS8100, so that you can use it in the BS8100 software and not a Eurocode software. Hopefully that answers your question.
Nice. There is another question that I think you know quite a lot, Ralph. So can Shapemaker currently carry out spectral analysis? Can you comment something on spectral analysis, Ralph? I also can, but I wanted to hear your answer.
Cameron, no, currently it can't. It will give you the details, like that, so that equivalent static check. It will give you that number to say whether the spectral analytical method needs to be employed or not. But I don't think Shapemaker needs to at the moment. I'm only aware of one piece of software that does, but I don't think Shapemaker needs to do that right now. There's a sort of a consortium of various companies. Actually, most of the UK sort of TowerCo, the companies within that are involved in it. It's being led by FLI. You've got Swans, Ovni, WIG, Trust, Trilon, Icon are in there, MBNL are in there, Cornerstone are in there. and it's funding a bit of research into this equivalent static check, what it actually means. Is there a better indicator of whether the tower is acting more dynamically or not? And if it is, what can you do? I don't think historically the advice was always, before things got too heavy, before it became too much of an issue, the advice was always try to design it out so that you didn't trigger something greater than 1 on that check. But I think we're at a point where that's getting more and more difficult to do. So this group has got together, they've funded this research, and I think that research is due out fairly soon. October, November time. So, and then we'll see if there's a next step, and if there is a next step, what it is. But I think it's fairly important that we get to grips with that, just from the dynamic piece and what that means for towers if we're not accounting for it. Because if we just ignore it, it may give us actually a fairly big problem in the future.
And of course, as always at Shapemaker, we really look forward to this type of developments, and we pay close attention. And when the development is actually proving itself and it's acceptable in the market, we are always ready to implement such a new following the new approach. So, but at this time, we just stick to equivalent static check by now.
That's suitable for now, because it empowers us to then do something different if we feel it's necessary.
Yes. So then, Ralph, are you comfortable if I share your email address in the notes here in the chat? So I'll just share my email and your email address. And just to thank everyone for attending, and thank to you, Ralph. It's really a pleasure talking to you. You're always very interesting person to discuss these topics. So really much appreciate your time.
Pleasure's all mine, and thank you for inviting me on. With my email address there, if anyone wants to get in touch, please do. You can find me at that email or on LinkedIn. For those of you who know me, I'll sort of talk to anyone, so feel free.
All right. Thanks everyone for attending. And yes, I saw many thumbs up, so it's all to you, Ralph. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Evan.
See you next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Take care.